It's Diggin to the Core, and we've got Jimi Presha as our guest here. Hi, Jimmy.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
How did you start making music and art?
I mean, it depends whether you start with the hip hop. I should say about the jazz, since we just talked about the jazz. My dad was saxophonist. Used to play. Like, I was a weirdo at school. Like, at school I liked jazz. Like, when people were listening to, like, Madonna and, like, Duran Duran and all that. Like, I didn't even used to talk about what I used to listen to, because I used to listen to, like, John Coltrane, Miles Davis, Charlie Parker. Because my dad, really, saxophonist, you know, going through all his vinyl. Yeah, that's my music start, really. That's my, like, heritage. Like, I love jazz. So, yeah, just started going through my dad's vinyl. He had a lot of jazz. Soul, Stevie Wonder was a big influence. I used to listen to a lot of Stevie Wonder, still love Stevie Wonder. But hip-hop really, I reckon it was Subway Art. You know Subway Art? I found that in the school library. And I was like, wow, look at this, look at all this art. Because I've always done art, always been an artist. But you got Subway Art, have you?
I was going to say, I'm sure.
There it is, Subway Art, that's it. I got it. I don't know whether I might have stole it from the school library, you know? I think I stole it from the school library and never gave it back.
All right.
I don't know whether I still got it.
There were three of them. There was spray can art, Subway Art, and then there was aerosol art as well.
Yeah.
Only everyone ever remembers Subway.
Subway Art was the original, I think. It's the first one. That was my, like, first hip hop thing. So it wasn't even music. It was that. I remember at school there was, like, I don't know, there was like a handful of people that were into hip hop. It was proper. It was not like a cool thing to be into. And, like, I was into it. I remember there was one guy in my year. We used to chat about, like, BDP and Public Enemy and Gangstar, and then one day NWA dropped Straight Outta Compton, and I'm not joking. I think it was just because I fucked the police, to be honest. The whole school was suddenly like, oh, listening to hip hop, but before that, like, nobody was listening to it. It was just me and, like, a handful of people.
I think it was NWA's album and Two Life Crew.
Things that were outrageous, So they liked all of that. So I was, obviously I liked NWA, but it was a bit like, oh, they all like that, but they didn't know about Gangstar or BDP or Public Enemy. So that was my start, my hip hop start. I really started listening to. I loved Public Enemy, man. I was a big Public Enemy fan. And I wanted to DJ. Yeah, that's probably first. I was going to troll Jay and say it was all about beatboxing, really. Beatboxing's the cornerstone of everything. Nothing would exist if it wasn't for beatboxing. But I never knew your massive disrespect for beatboxing.
Jimi Presha now, but that's it. I don't want to hear Brazil. I don't want to hear all the people that do it now with 4,000 bird sounds or whatever they're doing.
I'm not.
Dougie Fresh, Fat Boys, that is all right.
Well, that was one of the early. That was almost pre me getting into hip hop. Like the show, like I had the show on like 7-inch. I had that record, and, like, to be honest, I love Slick Rick. Slick Rick is definitely an MC influence. So Slick Rick was on the other side. Lardy Daddy was on the other side, and the show was the thing that made it into the charts. Like the show was like the record, but to me, it was all about Lardy Daddy. I was like, who's this guy here? Chatting with a strange, weird, like, kind of British accent. It wasn't really a British accent, but it wasn't really an American accent. It was like, he grew up over it, isn't it? So Slick Rick. I love that.
I came back around with Snoop Dogg's album, isn't it, Lardy Daddy?
I reckon that's the first cover in hip hop. I reckon. Because covering stuff was not respected in hip hop. People didn't cover stuff. You had to be original and do your own things. But Lardy Daddy, then when Snoop did that, definitely. But I was more into East Coast than West Coast. Maybe it was that whole everybody liking NWA thing, I don't know. But I loved East Coast, boom bap, East Coast stuff. And I wanted to be a DJ. I was a DJ. I started DJing, but I didn't, like, obviously you know me more as an MC. I got more known in the Bristol scene for MCing. But that's the little jungle detour, really. The jungle scene, like, the hip hop scene was good, but it wasn't anything like the jungle scene was like live. It was like raves, and so I started going to jungle. It wasn't even, it was called hardcore then.
Yeah.
And then I was like, why do I like these DJs? Like basically all the jungle DJs that played breakbeat, obviously hip hop boy going to raves. Yeah, jungle techno they used to call it. They used to call it jungle techno. And I like all the breakbeat stuff. So breakbeat stuff, a bit of ragga stuff. But yeah, it was definitely that. But the MCs, oh my days, they were horrible. There's one or two that were good. Like I used to like Joe Peng. Joe Peng was sick. But like being a hip hop guy in the rave, I thought they were 90% of them were shit. I thought I could do better than these guys. And like I had mates that were DJing. I was DJing jungle at the time, but like I was like I could do better than them. I had no desire to be an MC before the jungle scene, and I thought they were so rubbish. I was like, yeah, I can do better than these guys. I can do little rhymes like Joe Peng, or Comrade was good as well. I liked Comrade, Joe Peng, really. Yeah. Those were my two favourites. So that's how I started MCing, because I thought they were rubbish. My mate used to DJ hardcore, so I started MCing for like little sets he was getting. There was a guy called Rob. Can you remember Big Love? Big Love. It used to be you remember Universe, right? Yeah. So they did parties in conjunction. Big Love, but Big Love was a promotion. It was this guy called Rob. So he started putting us on, like. So I MC'd for him for a few years. He was a good guy. Like he used to do the inflatables. You know, the inflatables they would hang from the ceiling. I think he used to make them or something and then promote parties. So yeah, I MC'd for like jungle at his nights and some hardcore as well. And then it's not enough to spread your wings creatively, is it? Like it's a bit restrictive. Like jungle, MCing over jungle is a bit restrictive. So yeah, that's when I started wanting to do hip hop. That's pretty much around the time where I met Jay. Quest.
You was MCing before I met you, just I don't know how long, but
yeah, well, including the jungle stuff, a few years. A few years.
You already had
like late 90s, wasn't it? Late 90s I started MCing.
That I saw before I actually met you. Rusty Souls.
I mean, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, it was only filmed on like. He probably filmed it himself.
Yeah, he used to make he was throwaway, wasn't he? He would make those SVCDs or VCDs. Yeah, maybe. I never had that. Rusty Souls. Yeah, I got that track. I think that track is on SoundCloud. I think.
Is it?
Rusty Souls is on my SoundCloud. I think.
Immediately, I was like, "Fuck, I'm rating this guy immediately," because through that circle, obviously I knew Quest before I knew him, but through him I only met Side first.
Oh yeah.
A little while. I think I must have met you at Quest or something. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I can't remember. Probably Quest.
I was still living in Lawrence West then.
Probably Quest. No, it wasn't Quest's. I went to I don't know whether it was your yard. Well, I went to a yard in Lawrence Weston because Stretch was living in Lawrence Weston for a bit.
There as well. Yeah.
So that's where I met you. Yeah, that's where I met you.
Yeah.
I was wanting to do hip hop more, but nobody was really producing, so I was spitting over like instrumentals. Or there's a classic tape that I did with, I don't think, Jay, you weren't there. It was Quest DJing, like dropping instrumentals and scratching. And I think Stretch was doing a bit. And Surplus. It was like me and Surplus going back to back, like doing bars. Like he had, remember Johnny Methadone? We both had a heroin lyric. I had Johnny Methadone, and he had we never boil no browns in foil. So he used to do that verse, and I used to do my Johnny Methadone verse, and
I remember when I first met Plus. That was the day we drove up. I think I met him once at Quest House, and then when I properly met him, it was Tech was driving up to DMC's finals in London, and it was me, Tech and Plus in the car. That was the first time. Now you knew him longer than me, I think, by that time.
Who, Plus?
Yeah.
I remember when I met Plus. It was another. I told you about that guy. Stretch brought some guy around, and he was like trying to be like Wu-Tang, but obviously we were UK, so it was a bit like okay. He just brought our next guy around, and I thought,
not Ian, was it? No.
Nah, not Ian. I don't know this. I can't remember this guy's name. He wasn't really. I never really saw him in the scene or anything. It's one of those that the gatekeepers would have said, "No, mate. No, you can't. You can't pretend to be Wu-Tang. This is UK." Yeah,
Okay.
he bought Plus round, and I thought it was going to be another guy like that, and it was like, whoa, this guy's sick.
Yeah.
This guy's sick. So yeah, started spitting with Plus a little bit, going back and forth, and we were just making tapes. Yeah, making tapes over other people's instrumentals.
Okay.
And it must have evolved to like, yeah, people making beats, you making beats, Stretch making beats, Quest making beats.
Yeah, me and you got a beat track early, didn't we? It's on that flipping Rogue Education CD that I haven't even got.
Is it?
Okay.
I can't remember the vote.
I can't remember it either.
It's.
But we definitely had a tune on there.
Yeah.
And I was selling it in one clothes shop above, on the top of Park Street.
Oh, yeah?
That was it. £2 or something.
We had a few things. We had a few things.
Yeah.
I spit on a few when you were living in Easton, yeah. Because I used to, after what's the name of the MC when you were doing a band, All Life Dynamics.
Oh, Dave.
Yeah. So it was like post Dave.
Yeah.
So Dave had
We
stopped
used to go to the studio
MCing.
down there, didn't we?
Yeah.
My
They didn't have an MC basically, so you
Yeah,
brought me in.
Yeah.
So it was like a live band. What's the name of the guy? The drummer guy was sick.
Greg.
Greg,
he was
yeah.
fucking amazing.
Yeah, the drummer was really sick.
And Viv.
We used to go down. He was the bass player, wasn't he?
Yeah. I remember one time we had, this is random,
Yeah.
but I remember just having a gig was hard with you. Because we was in there jamming and Viv just turned around and said, yeah, it's a little bit higgledy-piggledy. And we've never heard no one talk like that before.
Higgledy-piggledy.
Higgledy-piggledy. Yeah,
Higgledy-piggledy.
something in the tune.
Yeah.
And I remember you was just laughing. I couldn't look at you.
What was he talking about? Me being higgledy?
No, something in the tune, like that part, like that.
I can just remember them lot used to have a dynamic where they were like arguing over the creative direction. What was the guy, the guitar player? It was usually the guitar player and Viv, the bass player, like disagreeing on the direction of what they should play.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm just here to whatever you play, I'll try and spit something over it.
Chopping it up and chucking it into the furnace. We're gonna burn this, we're gonna scorch the surface. We got balls to learn this, better the cause that's earnest, honest. Never be breaking my promise, forever creating, clever debating. Endeavor to sever the terrible hating, the devil don't hate him. Disheveled and raped in, maybe you should bake him a cake thing. I'm gonna be taking my time in, refining my rhyming, arrested and chimed in, designing many a fine thing. They're finding diamonds, wherever they roaming, Sierra Leone them, and taking them home and saying they own them, or maybe they'll clone them. Cubic zirconia, cubic zirconia, cubic zirconia.
I think I wanted to be original. Like I would listen to a lot of UK hip hop, and don't get me wrong, I loved UK hip hop at the time. Like who you got, like Jest and Skinny Man and all of those type of people.
Yeah.
The first UK I heard was London Posse, first proper spitting in a UK accent and doing kind of like ragga influenced hip hop. Like I loved London Posse, but I didn't want to be like I smoked weed every day. I didn't want to. Do you ever hear any weed lyrics from me? No, because I deliberately didn't, bro. I deliberately didn't. I remember listening to Roots Maneuver and loving Roots Maneuver. It's topical. You did the Roots Maneuver thing the other day. And I was like, why is Roots Maneuver different from like Jest and Skinny Man and all of those? I just thought he was different. I decided that he didn't really have they would all say like cliched stuff, cliched UK rap stuff. I didn't want to do that, so I tried to not say that. I didn't chat about, even though I used to smoke all the time, I tried to not chat about weed. I didn't want to do a weed song and be and I also had I say it's like a jazz influence from people like Mike and Nine, Freestyle Fellowship. So I loved Freestyle Fellowship, Mike and Nine, AC Alone, Peace, all of those people. But Mike and Nine had this sing-song style that I wanted to do, and also I would say Sizzler. I loved Sizzler. Okay. So Sizzler, they used to call him. Remember when they used to call him Sing J? They used to say, "Oh, he's in between like a ragga MC and an old school roots singer, and they used to call him a Sing J." So I wanted to be the hip hop version of the UK hip hop version of Sizzler. Yeah. That was my target. But it was very Micah 9 influenced, I think. The UK Micah 9. So that's why I think I sounded different, hopefully. Yeah. Hopefully I sounded different from other people.
I think you got me into Sizzler, because I was pure Capleton.
Capleton sick too,
yeah, of course. Yeah. There was the war, it was either one or the other. It was like Beatles and Rolling Stones.
Well, they were kind of linked though, weren't it? It was like a native tongues like Bobo Ashanti, they say, Bobo Ashanti, that that certain type of bobo dread, Rasta, Rasta.
That's probably me.
MC.
Like that. If I like one, I'm not liking the other one, even if he's sick.
Yeah. Or they had, what was the tune they had together?
They've had a few now, but yeah.
Babylon Burn Them Brain or something. Babylon Burn Them
I think
Brain.
you give me the Kalonji album.
Kalonji.
Used to burn off CDs and do a
Kalonji's good. Kalonji.
Plus, if you could get a CD off Presh, he used to do the writing all proper. We did going off the copies of Seasons of Oz, and they do like the actual logo on the CD.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I can remember Stretch said you're mental doing all of that. Like I used to like, because I like artwork, so like on the CD, it was the era of burning CDs and DVDs, isn't it? But then I would like do the like logo in the like the way that they wrote it, like right Busta Rhymes, like he in that in the typeface that they used, or I love that. I still got those. I still got those like those CD. Packs where I got loads of stuff in there. Yes, I can remember Stretch saying, "You're mental doing that. Why'd you do all the artwork?"
Literally the same font as the album, whatever, or the series, whatever it was.
Yeah. It's cool.
I had the original, the leaked version of Mad Villainy. Like that I did. Like I drew the mask on there, like
Is that when we played in Glastonbury when we had that camping trip?
Bro, that's the story. I got to tell that story.
That's the best one ever. The best.
I got to tell that story. So I was like a massive KMD fan, like pre-Doom.
Yeah.
Loved Zevlov X from KMD, and Mr. Hood was my album. Like I loved that. I loved that album. Then obviously everybody knows the Doom story. Like his brother died, Subrock died. He wasn't really doing anything. He was homeless and it just went away for ages. And I kind of lost track. I slept on Doomsday. Like I slept on Doomsday. I can remember seeing it in the racks and not. I didn't know that. If I'd have known that was Zevlov X from KMD, I would have bought it immediately. But I didn't. And when I hooked back into it, like we went to Glastonbury, like with some mushrooms. Me, Jay, Quest, Stretch. Paul, it was Paul who bought it. We had like a CD player and a speaker, and Paul put Mad Villainy on. We were, I remember we listened.
We tried to listen, and then we'd come up on mushrooms. We were like, I cannot listen.
I was never a massive Sage Francis fan. When he played that, I straight away I knew. I was like, oh, this is Zevlov X from KMD. But like rediscovering him, like when you're high on mushrooms, and like hearing Mad Villainy, which is just one of my favorite albums ever. It's like a genius album. Yeah, that was great. I was like found Doom again. So yeah, I'm a big MF Doom fan. Like people always say, he's the MC's MC.
What keeps inspiring you nowadays to do any kind of creative endeavours?
I think it's like the human imperative to be creative. Like there's no. Like I love nature documentaries, right? But animals do not. Like a tiger don't go, oh, am I a creative tiger? have I, you know? Like as long as he gets enough to eat, he knows I'm a good tiger. That's it. Like there's only one thing. Like I look at nature document. Have you ever heard of the Bowery bird?
No.
The Bowery bird's crazy, man. You need to YouTube that.
Check that out.
So like the Bowery bird makes this like display of like, it's not a nest, it's like to get a mate. So you might say, oh, it's not creative, it's, you know, it's a reproduction thing. Yeah, he decorates and does a crazy dance where they'll get like shiny things, they like blue things, and they'll put them, and the bird that gets the like the most creative, like the nicest thing gets the mate. So that's the only animal I can think of that's like properly creative. Like really.
Like chocolate wrappers, anything they can find.
If they find a chocolate wrapper, that would be a shiny, if it's like a piece of foil or something. But apart from that, I just think it's a human thing. Like creativity is like a human thing, and not even. Now you can talk about art and music and all these things which we know as creative, but really, it's everything. Like I think about cooking, like you're doing a recipe, that's creative. Like when you put something together, it's creative. And I had a friend who was I used to go raving with a guy that was a scaffolder, and like obviously we were going raving, so we were psychedelics or different kind of drugs or whatever. And one day he explained to me about, like he would look at a piece of scaffolding and he would go, yeah, that's shit. And I would go, yeah, all right. And then another time he would show me a bit and he would go, oh, that's a beautiful piece of scaffolding. So I like one day I'm like, why is that one beautiful and this one shit? So he started explaining to me about the lengths and like how some of them were messy and like you could put, but like it's creativity, isn't it? Like, so he's looking at it because he knows scaffolding. I just think every act of a human can be creative, and you can like take pleasure and pride in your work, or you can not, and like some people are just, I don't know, doing stuff to earn money. They don't really care about the aesthetic of it. But if you care about the aesthetic of it, if you're like a music guy or an artist, you care about what things look like or sound like, or.
I said to you about at a kitchen store, I was doing loft conversions with like people that are like really good at chippies and all that. And the work they do is just pure creativity, like literally. I do the same thing, it looks like a piece of shit. And he watched Rich do it, say. And it's like, you can see him do it, he's like, everything's creative.
Carpentry and that, carpentry's, I wish I had done a trade when I was younger. And carpentry's one I think about, like working with wood. Like even if, because you can get paid for making windows or whatever, but it's a creative thing, right? It would be nice to they get good money as well. If you've got a trade in something like that, they get good money, way better money than I get. But it's a human thing, creativity, and I don't think if I'm happy, I won't stop. I don't stop. When I'm happy, I create more. Sometimes you got to crack the whip on yourself a little bit to like do it. But once I do it, once I start doing it, like I said, I got into production in the last year and a half, and I produced way more because mostly I was emceeing over other people's beats, really, like your beats, Quest beats, other people's beats. I find it easier to like, if you're a bit disconnected from it, you just feel the vibe of it more. When I listen to my own beats, sometimes I don't really. I vibe off of them, but I don't want to contribute to them with vocals. Got 3 albums on Bandcamp, and that's mostly other people's beats and me rapping, singing. There's 3 albums over a period of years. The last one's a bit more. The last album actually has got some of my productions on there. I've got one of your beats on there.
Is it?
Yeah, what's it called? I can only remember the original name of it, of the verse. It's like, what is it called? I remember I used to call the verse Fucking Bitch. It was about some failed relationship. That was not the name of the track though. Your track, it was like a glitchy, you made like a glitchy track. There's more variety on that last album. I had like, I had more of my own productions on there. And like recently, it's just been fun, like pure fun, like finding samples. Like I said to you earlier, like my computer died, and then I seen a Madlib interview, and he's talking about, I make beats on iPad for the last 10 years, and I was like, I got an iPad. So I found a koala sampler and started making beats again. But it's very, as soon as I get a sample, I'm off. And start making loops, make more loops than I need normally, and then you use one and chop and change. No, I sold it. I sold it. I love, my favourite thing that I made beats on was an MPC, but the koala sampler is very much like that. Like it's the same enjoyment. Like it's nice to have a big box, but I could get money for that. So I sold it for like hundreds of pounds, like £400 or £500, maybe even more than that. I can't remember. It was a while ago I sold it, but it was a pain in the ass because it wasn't even like, the one you had a USB lead. I had the original 2000 XL.
It was the XL,
So you had like this thing called a SCSI lead, and you couldn't really floppy disks, right? It was floppy disks, and you can hardly have anything on a floppy disk. Like it's basically one tune's worth of samples on a floppy disk. You might have a few loops and a breakbeat on there, or some bass sounds, and you couldn't put much on there. So it was really fun to make it. Once you got it up and running, it was fun to use the MPC. But in a modern day, I just got tired of it. And unless you've got that unless you get that workflow where you're like you're in it and you don't I don't want to stop and start and like to make something. I want to be in the flow. What do they call it? Workflow. Yeah, they call it workflow. So yeah, it has to be that really. So yeah, I like Koala Sampler. I give them a little shout out. Koala Sampler is great.
Yeah.
Still use Cubase a little bit for the rest of it. But.
Switch polarity, mentality, can't hold me with legality. It's fallacy, it's got to be. Try tempt us with your lottery. What's stopping me? A rotten brew that stains the child inside of you. Insane or wild provide of you. Afternoon voodoo, driving them cuckoo. Random and shred them and thread them and fed them to you. Few, whatever you knew, I'm taking a new view. And I'm faking it, you let him get in and get to you. I was hoping you thought I'm caught for new shoes.
Could you imagine your life without creativity?
No, not at all. I mean, it'd be a sad life. When I'm depressed, like that's when I don't create.
Yeah.
So I go through periods, you know, where I don't create for a while, like several years of not really doing music or. But yeah, it's never really happy times. Yeah, I feel when I've done something creative. I've never really been a game player like a PlayStation. Well, obviously I had a PlayStation back in the day, PlayStation 2, but I never like waste. It feels like wasted time. Like if I play like for ages on, I think I could have made a beat, and then it's like something you've got for forever that's good, or you can record a vocal or write a vocal. Yeah.
Building it from nothing, isn't it? Man? It's just amazing.
Yeah. Well, I like sampling, so maybe not from nothing. I still like sampling.
When you start, isn't it? It's just someone else's thing.
I went through.
Not meant to be what it becomes.
I went through a period where I didn't want to. I think it was to do with like. You think you're gonna not make it, because I used to have a lyric goes, "What's this it you trying to make? You best forget it. Fulfill yourself some other way."
Yeah.
Because. Yeah, I think I was a bit obsessed with like, don't use. I know what it was. It was all those samples that I didn't know where they came from, making beats on the first two albums with. Stretch would just give a beat, and like, I didn't know where it came from, and sometimes they would be obvious samples, and like then I was like, well, I can't put this out. Like people will be. So I went in that phase where I didn't want to sample stuff, but to be honest. When you just drop all of that, and because that's about money and marketing and clearing, that's about business. It's not about creativity. So once you drop that idea and just go, it doesn't matter. Like it's very easy to sample stuff I sample stuff online. At the other side of it is digging. You know, like I dig online now. Like I can take samples off of streaming services. Like it's not. I can sample stuff that I don't like have on vinyl or whatever, and then
I started using a lot recently again. Soulseed, bro, still going.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I heard. I saw something online that it was still going. I was like, really, Soulseed's still going?
I've got everything off of there.
Yeah. So much old
It's
stuff.
the true music lovers.
Yeah, because it's just someone else who's a fan. You're not getting it from like, you're just getting it from someone else's hard drive.
It's like taping something off your mate back in the day. Like yeah. But all of that stuff, the people shouldn't fear any of that stuff. I remember going through my dad's vinyl, right, and there was like one of the inner sleeves, you know, the paper sleeve. It had like a logo on it, and it had a cassette logo on it, and it had a like they were scared. Cassettes is going to end our thing. Like really, it never does it? It never does. It's just like another format, and like obviously I don't agree with. The pay structure of the streaming services, that's a bad thing for musicians, but you can't stop any of that. It just goes on. You've got to cope with it.
Isn't it on the videos at the beginning? They have a whole advert just like some guy going to jail for ripping a video. The piracy court.
Piracy hurts people. It hurts you, record companies, and it never really hurt me.
Yeah. Where can people find you on social media or your music?
Jimi Presha on Bandcamp. That's where all the projects are really. So 3 albums with, I call them hip hop really, with vocals on, mostly like rapping and rapping / singing. It's that whole Sing J thing. And I've got 1 instrumental album that's new. That is like jazz when I made it, I wasn't aware of, what do they call it? Boom trap? Do they call it?
Boom trap,
yeah, boom
yeah.
trap.
Ah,
I was
okay.
calling
Just
my
the
thing.
samples with nice snares.
I was calling mine jazz trap because like it's
Yeah.
jazz samples, but I didn't want to make it boom bap, so I put there's kind of like trappy drums on it, trappy hi hats on it, and like just more modern drum sounds, or like drum sounds from drum and bass, or just different sounds. So that's on there, and yeah, the jungle project soon to be coming, but I'm probably going to do that under a different name.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be Jimi Presha. I'm going to set up a separate socials for that. It's going to be Gentle Leopard.
Okay.
It's going to be Gentle Leopard.
Wow,
That's going to be
alright.
my jungle thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, that'll be on the same place as well, Bandcamp. SoundCloud as well. Not SoundCloud. Yeah, SoundCloud. What am I about? Yeah, SoundCloud and Bandcamp. That's the two main places.
It's Jimi Presha for all of it,
Yeah, Jimi Presha for all of it at the moment, until I get Gentle Leopard up and running.
Thank you so much for the interview.
It's my pleasure.
My
pleasure.
Literally a legend.
Yes.
I don't know about,
Like
I don't know about that.
25 years now.
People will be like, who's this guy?
Oh, no, to be, I'm talking to my point of view.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.